Your ship has been destroyed.
Jesus. I'm speechless. What is he saying? So I recently created a video about how to find a cool, friendly PvP corporation, and I've received many messages from you guys asking me whether it's worth it to join a large null alliance or not. Well, it's not easy to answer, so I've decided to test this out for you, and I joined Pandemic Horde. No worries, I will jump between low sec and null sec, so the solo PvP will continue. Also, the video with the Christmas battleship winners will be out soon. I'm working on that. So, does it make sense to join Pandemic Horde or other null alliances? That's a tough question to answer, because it really depends on how you want to play the game and what is important to you. I chose to join Horde, because it's just easy to get in, apply, and you're in. At the basic corp, it's Pandemic Horde Inc. They don't do any background checks, and you don't need to provide your API keys. I mean, I don't want to make a video about which is the better nullsec alliance. Surely goons are cool too, so it's not about which one is better, but rather about sharing my experiences inside Pandemic Horde. If you like large fleets and many PvP battles, I mean, hey, log in, join fleet, shoot, next fleet, shoot, bam! You can fight 24/7 if you like, and that without heavy commitments. Well, then Pandemic Horde is maybe the right place for you. Again, you log in, wait for the next ping, and can participate in countless PvP fleets if you wish. It's PvP 24/7. The great difference between Horde from a lot of other large null alliances is that you don't have those API checks. They don't want to read your emails, they don't do the background checks, and you can, if you like, join the fleets, but it's not a must. Other large nullsec alliances conduct extensive background checks, demand certain online time, specific numbers of fleet participations, and a certain number of kills per month, for example. I find these rules limit the fun of the game when you constantly have to fulfill certain requirements. That's not the case with Pandemic Horde, and I think that offers me greater freedom with fewer rules. So I actually already joined Horde some years ago, and yeah, it's sad, but quite a few things have changed since then. If you're joining the basic corporation, Pandemic Horde Inc., they now have some new rules. Or hey, I don't know how long they are in place. If you want to do PvE, there are a lot of restricted systems. Currently, around the headquarters, I can only do PvE in 2 or 3 systems. Jesus, that's true, it's sad, I know. Well, the other systems are non-gated to me because, well, I'm an unverified player. If you want to do PvE in the restricted systems, you have to join another corporation within the Pandemic Horde Alliance, and of course there are API and background checks. I remember that it wasn't like this before. No, that's brand new to me, so if you only join Pandemic Horde Inc. as a PvE player, you're extremely limited. And well, it's just a feeling, but you do feel somewhat like a second-class player, like someone who isn't initially trusted. This wasn't the case in the past, and I find it regrettable. However, since I don't do PvE anyway, it doesn't really bother me. Shoot and kill is what I'm looking for. So Horde still makes sense for me to join because in my view, and as always, it's only in my view, the Alliance has the fewest restrictions compared to others, and new players are always welcome here. They even have the New Beans initiative. That's cool. Means there are Horde players whose job it is to help new players to find their way in the game and within the Alliance. I think that's a fantastic thing. Well, but in the end, I must say that no matter which alliance you play in, it doesn't matter, you're always just a follower. Unless you want to play as an FC, which means a fleet commander, or you rise into the leadership team. It is like it is in every nullsec alliance, you follow the strategy of the leadership team and execute their ideas and their plans. If you enjoy that, hey, go for it, join, you're in the right place. I mean, I switch roles. I play as a low-sec pirate with solo PvP and can simply have a jump clone in null-sec, where I then join larger fleets. And yeah, that's it. I really enjoy this flexibility. So I joined them, and on their Discord server... Hey, Hey, that's cool. You can ask questions to the director team. I always have the feeling inside Horde that the directors are very close to the players. So I asked there if there were any specific rules about filming fleets, and I quickly got a response, and they told me no strict rules. I would say don't broadcast anything that's considered OPSEC, but recordings of fights after the fact are rarely a problem. As an additional step, it would be good to check with the FC about including comms, or just omit comms and use music as a voiceover. Since it's mostly the FC talking, I think you should make sure that FC is okay with it. You know, I just wanted to be nice and ask. I mean, many people upload videos on YouTube without asking for permission, so I want to make sure they are fine with that. I've asked several FCs if I could record flates as the directors wanted. The results are more than surprising, especially since there are hundreds of videos out there on YouTube, including comms. But hey, for sure, I wanted to be nice. So I messaged the first FC very politely. He generally allowed filming his fleets, but no comms. And wait, what? I can only post videos of the fleet where Pandemic Horde looks good. He specifically says, and you can record it, but don't record any comms, and also never upload a feed from Horde. We don't want to fuel the goon propaganda machine. Jesus. I'm speechless. What is he saying? So he only allows the publication of fleets where Pandemic Horde looks good? I can't believe it! And I decided to ask him again. I understand, so if Horde has more losses than kills and the fleet ends up being a disaster, it's better not to post it? And he responded with yes. This isn't the kind of content I want to provide for you. I'm a bit shocked that some FCs say, hey, yes, you can record the fleets, but only if we look pretty in it, and please no comms, and we don't want to feed goons propaganda. There's also no please in the tone. It's more like an order or a directive. That's very unfortunate. I mean, you know, I think 99.9% of the people did not ask, and they are filming the fleets anyway. But, well, I respect that. There are a lot of fleet videos out there. You guys will find some. So here are my experiences with the fleets of Pandemic Horde.
Cut for reps.
There are plenty of fights and fleets, and if there aren't any, you can join the standing fleet, where there's always kills and fun. I've understood that there are several types of pings: the strat-up pings, the home defense pings, and the regular pings. The FC pings essentially requests players to join his fleet. In the ping, he specifies which ships he wants and what fittings the ships should have. I myself, yes, let's have a look. I participated in 16 fleets over the last 10 days, doing hundreds of kills. That was cool. But for me, the home defense fleets are maybe a problem. I mean, when 30 hostile players come into the Horde system looking for some nice fights, hey, they are looking for some fun, and you outnumber them 4-1, that's a big issue. In that case, I split my guns to do less DPS to them, but I think, hey, when 30 players jump into the system, I think Horde should limit the size of their own fleet, to respect the enemies and give them a fair and honorable fight. Many players are surprised in the fleet that the others run away. They type in local, they run away, as always. Of course, what should they do when they are extremely outnumbered? In the past, the FCs I flew with in Horde, they always explained why we were doing something and what the goal of the fleet was. And yes, it's true, I felt like an important part of that fleet. However, in the fleets I've joined these days, this was not the case. I didn't necessarily understand the objective of the fleet or of the strat op, and it was rarely explained, which I find quite disappointing compared to the years before. I think it should be basic for FCs to explain what the fleet is doing and its target. This was always the case in the past. In the 16 fleets I joined, the communication was rather minimal, which is very disappointing. Hey, I mean, if there's a fear of spies, they could explain it afterwards. My favorite FCs in the past used to always explain everything in detail, and unfortunately that wasn't often the case in my recent Horde fleets. So, is it still worth joining Pandemic Horde in 2024? Very difficult question. I think maybe. If you're interested in large-scale PvP, you should consider joining Horde. However, in my opinion, there has been a lot of negative development in recent years, so I feel the quality of FCs has declined. Everyone starts somewhere, of course, which should be considered, but especially for Horde basic group members, there are many restrictions, which is quite unfortunate. To me, Horde used to be significantly better. The fleets were more fun, and as a basic member, you weren't so heavily restricted. But if these issues don't bother you, Horde is still worth joining. Well, maybe, especially if you like PvP and large fleets, do it, go for it. If you like smaller PvP stuff, go to low sec. So if Horde doesn't kick me out after this video, you will see more videos from null sec. And if not, I'm leaving and will be back in low sec soon. So please tell me, what are your experiences with null sec alliances? What are the pros and cons? Feel free to write them in the comments below.